My wife said, "He's delusional, I would never cheat, especially with someone like my personal trainer." I replied, "Is that so?" At her birthday party, in front of all her friends, I played the security camera audio from our car. It was not just talking. When everyone heard her, Leo 39, male, had been with Serena, 37, for 12 years, married for 9. We lived a life of polished success in Seattle, Washington. Our home was a sprawling waterfront condo in Belltown, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering a panoramic view of Puget Sound. I was a senior maritime logistics coordinator for a major shipping company, earning $115,000 a year. Serena was a high-flying pharmaceutical marketing manager, with a salary of $130,000. Our life was a carefully orchestrated performance, featuring our Lincoln Navigator, dinners at Canlis, and a close-knit circle of friends, Grant and Maya, who admired our seemingly perfect partnership. Don't miss the twist. Subscribe and help us reach 1,000 subscribers. The opportunity that would ultimately capsize this life arrived on a gray, drizzly Monday. My company offered me a major promotion. The role was Director of West Coast Operations, a new position they were creating at their primary hub in Long Beach, California. It was a massive leap in responsibility and prestige. The offer included a base salary of $225,000, a generous stock option package, a full relocation budget, and a new Range Rover as a company vehicle. It was the culmination of 15 years of hard work. I told Serena about it that night, my voice filled with an energy she hadn't heard in years. I described the sun, the financial freedom, the chance to lead. She listened with a cool, appraising look, the kind she used when evaluating a marketing campaign. "Long Beach?" she asked, a slight curl to her lip. "It's so industrial, Leo. And you'd be so far from the real decision makers at corporate." She shook her head. "My career is here. I'm on the verge of a major product launch. You can't expect me to trade that for a lateral move to some dusty port." Around this time, her dedication to her new personal trainer, a man named Dante, had become all-consuming. Early mornings, late evenings, and even weekend sessions were now a standard part of her routine. Update 1, I quietly accepted the Long Beach offer. Serena's immediate dismissal of my career, combined with her increasingly secretive behavior around her fitness routine, created a cold, clear space for my decision. She continued her campaign to frame my ambition as a form of failure. Over dinner with Grant and Maya, she sighed dramatically. "Leo has this strange idea about moving to California," she said. "He wants to take a less important job in some satellite office. I'm worried he's losing his competitive edge." Grant, ever her supporter, nodded seriously. "You have to stay where the action is, man. Her career has so much momentum here." Maya added, "You have to support her, Leo. This product launch is huge for her. They saw me as the one adrift, the one holding her back." I offered no defense. I had already begun my own logistical maneuvers. I opened a new set of investment and bank accounts. I started researching canal-side homes in Long Beach's Naples neighborhood. I also started paying closer attention to the details. I noticed the mileage on our Lincoln Navigator was higher than it should be on the days she claimed to be at a downtown gym. The built-in security system in the Navigator had a feature that recorded internal audio clips if the vehicle's sensors detected unusual activity. One night, driven by a cold suspicion, I accessed the cloud-based logs from my laptop. I found a dozen recent audio files. The first one I played was not of a workout. Update 2, I chose a Saturday morning to confront her. The condo was filled with bright, unforgiving light. I had the audio file ready on my phone. "Serena, we need to talk about your personal trainer." She looked up from her coffee, a look of bored irritation on her face. "What about Dante? Are you going to be insecure again?" "I think you're having an affair with him," I said, my voice perfectly level. She laughed. A sharp, incredulous sound. "You're delusional, Leo," she said, her voice dripping with pity. "I would never cheat. Especially with someone like my personal trainer. He's just a boy." She shook her head, turning to our friends, Grant and Maya, who had just arrived for brunch. "Can you believe him? He's completely losing it." I looked at her, at the absolute certainty of her lie. "Is that so?" I replied. The quiet words hung in the air, a promise of what was to come. I said nothing more about it, letting her and our friends believe I had accepted my delusion. Her 38th birthday was in 2 weeks. It would be the perfect venue. Update 3. The following 2 weeks were a strange, surreal performance. I played the role of the chastened, slightly unstable husband. Serena was magnanimous in her victory, treating me with a cloying, condescending kindness. I used the time to finalize my exit. I secured the house in Long Beach. I arranged for a moving company. I systematically transferred my personal assets to my new accounts. I let her plan her birthday party, a lavish affair to be held in our condo's private event space. She invited all our friends, her colleagues, her entire world. It was to be a celebration of her, a confirmation of her status. On the night of the party, I was the perfect host. I smiled, I mingled, I poured champagne. As the evening reached its peak, Serena stood to give a toast. After she finished, I raised my glass. "I'd like to say a few words as well," I announced. I walked to the professional sound system she had rented for the DJ. I connected my phone via Bluetooth. "Serena and I have had some disagreements lately," I began, my voice calm and clear. I was accused of being delusional. I looked directly at her, her smile frozen on her face. So I thought I would share the reason for my delusion. I pressed play. The audio that filled the silent room was not a conversation. It was the sound of her and Dante, in our car, graphic and undeniable. The party ended in a stunned, horrified silence. I disconnected my phone, picked up the single bag I had packed, and walked out of the room, out of the condo, and out of her life. Update 4. 6 months in Long Beach was like stepping into a different reality. The constant gray of Seattle was replaced by the relentless sunshine of Southern California. I sold my condo in Seattle at a significant profit, and used the proceeds to furnish my new home in Naples, a beautiful place with a dock on the canal. My company Range Rover was a perfect fit for the new lifestyle. My work was more demanding and more rewarding than I could have ever imagined. I successfully restructured the entire West Coast logistics network, untangling years of inefficiency and saving the company millions. The CEO was ecstatic. I received a $75,000 performance bonus, which I used to buy a small Duffy boat for cruising the canals. One afternoon, I was out on my boat, enjoying the quiet afternoon sun, when my phone buzzed. It was a text from Maya. "Leo, we are so sorry," it read. Serena had us all completely fooled. We heard she lost her job after what happened. I thought of Serena's accusation, the words she used to dismiss my valid concerns. "He's delusional." The word echoed in my mind, but now it sounded like a victory. I replied politely but kept my distance. "Thank you. I hope you and Grant are well." Update 5. My company's quarterly earnings call was a massive success, largely due to the efficiencies I had implemented. A major shipping industry trade publication, Maritime Executive, requested an interview. The resulting article was a lengthy profile of my work, with my new title, Director of West Coast Operations, featured prominently. The article was a public validation of the new life I had built. It circulated online, and the shockwaves reached Seattle. Serena's emails began that night. "Director, you let me believe it was a dead-end job," one accused. "You planned this all along to humiliate me," said another. Then came the call from Grant. His voice was heavy with shame. "Leo, man, I don't know what to say," he started. "Serena told us you were having a breakdown, that you were taking a demotion because you couldn't handle the pressure. We saw that article. We were so wrong to believe her." My own family, who had been worried and confused by the sudden, dramatic end of my marriage, called to express their relief and their pride. The verifiable truth had finally sunk her carefully constructed ship of lies. Update 6. She appeared on my doorstep in Long Beach a week later. She had flown down from Seattle, a desperate, unannounced pilgrimage. She looked smaller, thinner, the confident, polished executive replaced by a woman who seemed lost. "Leo," she began, her voice hoarse. "I was wrong. About everything." "What were you wrong about, Serena?" I asked, my voice flat. "I was unhappy," she said, tears welling in her eyes. "I felt trapped, and I made a terrible mistake. But I've been going to therapy. I've changed. I can move here. I can be the partner you deserve." I looked at her, and the sound of the audio I had played at her party was as clear in my mind as if it were playing right then. "You didn't just make a mistake, Serena," I said. "You made a series of choices. You cheated, you lied, And then you tried to convince me and everyone we knew that I was mentally unstable to cover your tracks. I was desperate. She insisted. No, I replied calmly. You were cruel. There is no coming back from that. I stepped back inside my house. Goodbye, Serena. Update 7. Her rejection fueled a final, vindictive act. She hired a lawyer and filed a lawsuit, claiming that I had illegally recorded her, and that my actions had caused her emotional distress and the loss of her job. It was a desperate attempt to reframe herself as the victim. My lawyer, a sharp, no-nonsense litigator from a top Los Angeles firm, was amused. He filed a motion to dismiss, citing California's 2-party consent law for recording, but also highlighting the fact that the recording was made by the vehicle's own security system, a feature she was fully aware of, as it was detailed in the owner's manual of the car she drove every day. He also filed a countersuit for defamation, citing her repeated, documented claims to our friends and colleagues that I was delusional and mentally unstable. Faced with a costly legal battle she could not win, she dropped the lawsuit within a month. Update 8. A year passed. My life in Long Beach was peaceful, prosperous, and authentic. I had been promoted to Vice President of North American Operations. I was in a new, healthy relationship with a woman named Isabella, a marine biologist with a quick laugh and a kind heart. Our life together was built on a foundation of honesty and a shared love for the ocean. One evening, a final email from Serena arrived in my inbox. She had moved back to her hometown in the Midwest. She was working in an administrative role, her high-flying career a distant memory. I built my life around a lie, she wrote, and you showed everyone the truth. I am sorry for the pain I caused. I replied with a short, polite message. I wish you peace. I blocked her email address and moved on. Final update. Several months later, I was the keynote speaker at a major logistics conference in San Diego. After my speech, a man approached me. It was the former CEO of Serena's pharmaceutical company. Leo, he said, shaking my hand warmly. A brilliant presentation. I've been following your career. A remarkable trajectory. He paused, his expression turning serious. I was sorry to hear about what happened with Serena. When the story got out, it wasn't the affair that shocked people. It was the cold, blooded way she tried to gaslight you, to convince everyone you were delusional. He shook his head. In our business, character is everything. She lost hers long before you played that recording. His words brought a quiet, final sense of resolution. I reflected on the lesson of the past 2 years. When someone betrays you, their first line of defense is often to attack your perception of reality. They will try to make you believe you are the one who is broken. Serena's accusation that I was delusional was her most potent weapon. By presenting our friends with the undeniable, audible truth, I didn't just expose her affair. I reclaimed my own sanity, and in that quiet, certain truth, I had found my freedom.